Broadcasting live from the Albay PIO News Center, providing you the most exclusive news update from all over the province. This is News at 12. In the local scene, a feeding activity was conducted at the Barrio Elementary School Evacuation Center in Kamalig, Albay to support families displaced by Mayon Volcano's Alert Level 3 situation. The activity was carried out by personnel of the Kamalig Municipal Police Station in coordination with the 31st Infantry Battalion of the 9th Infantry Division. The feeding initiative was spearheaded by the 31st Infantry Battalion personnel led by Sergeant Leo C. Francisco, with support from Kamalig police officers and Regional Police Support Battalion Team Taplacon. The activity aimed to provide immediate relief and nourishment to families temporarily staying at the evacuation center due to the elevated alert level. Police personnel ensured the orderly distribution of food and maintained security to promote the safety and welfare of the evacuees. Albay Police Provincial Office Director Police Colonel Noel Donato Nunez commended the police and military units for their coordinated humanitarian efforts. The activity concluded peacefully, underscoring strong interagency cooperation in assisting affected communities in Albay. In other story, the Albay Public Safety and Emergency Management Office APSEMO distributed family tents to the local government units of Malilipot to support residents displaced by Mayon Volcano's continued unrest under Alert Level 3. The tents will serve as temporary shelters for families evacuated from Barangay Calbayog, San Roque, and Kanaway, affecting 339 families or 1,466 individuals. APSEMO said the tents aim to ensure safer and more dignified living conditions for evacuees while they remain away from their homes. The tents were sourced from the Department of Social Welfare and Development through the Office of Civil Defense Region 5 as part of interagency response efforts. APSEMO said the distribution is part of the provincial government's continuing efforts to augment local government resources amid volcanic situation. Authorities continue to monitor Mayon Volcano and coordinate with concerned agencies to ensure the safety and welfare of affected residents. In the national scene, the longest and largest resolution making the Feast of the Black Nazarene in Manila took 30 hours and 50 minutes to complete its nearly 6-kilometer route. An estimated 5.5 million devotees joined the procession, with church and police officials placing total attendance at about 9.6 million, including the novena that began on December 31 and a 2-day pahalik leading to up to January 9 feast. More than 1,000 participants required medical attention due to injuries and exhaustion, and 4 deaths were recorded during the event. 3 of the fatalities were devotees taking part in the traslación. The 4th was tabloid photojournalist Ito Son, who collapsed early Friday morning at a police station near the Carino Grandstand, the procession's starting point. Citing the unprecedented challenges, the Quiapo Church Administration said on Sunday, January 11, that it will implement changes next year, including adjustments to the andas design, the length of the procession route, and other crowd management measures. In other story, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology (PHIVOLCS) reported a surge in volcanic earthquakes and tremors at Taal volcano over the past 24 hours, ending a recent period of low seismic activity. FIVOX recorded 20 volcanic earthquakes and 14 tremors, tremor episodes lasting from 1 to 125 minutes, a sharp increase from the previous day's 2 tremors. From January 1 to 11, the State Volcanology Agency logged 185 volcanic earthquakes and 51 tremors, while December showed lower activity with 101 earthquakes and 26 tremors. FIVOX explained that volcanic earthquakes are caused by internal volcanic processes, while tremors are continuous low-frequency seismic signals, and noted that a recent phreatomagnetic eruption produced a 900-meter plume. Despite the rise in activity, no volcanic smog or crater lake upwelling was observed, and Taal volcano remains under alert level 1. In other news, Senate President pro tempore Panfilo Lacson said the criminal complaints linked to the multi-billion peso flood control corruption scandal will not be affected by the alleged retraction of statements by Bulacan 1st District Engineering Office Chief Henry Alcantara. Reports of Alcantara's supposed recantation came from a lawyer for Senator Joel Villanueva, whom Alcantara had earlier accused of receiving kickbacks from anomalous public works projects. The Department of Justice, however, said it has not received any affidavit or communication from Alcantara retracting his earlier testimony. Department of Justice spokesperson Undersecretary Polo Martinez said there has been no written or verbal recantation by Alcantara in connection with the ongoing probe into anomalous and coast flood control projects in Bulacan. Alcantara earlier returned 181.3 million pesos to the government as restitution for his share of kickbacks, part of the 300 million pesos in illegally acquired wealth he committed to return. Lacson stressed that Alcantara's testimony and those of two former DPWH Bulacan officials were not standalone accounts, and warned that any recantation could expose the witnesses to perjury charges. And in the news outside the country, residents across northern France and southern England faced widespread travel disruption after Storm Goretti swept in from the Atlantic, bringing high winds, rain, snow, and power outages. The storm battered the Isles of Scilly overnight with wind gusts reaching 99 mph, leaving blocked roads, unstable buildings, and thousands without electricity or water. More than 57,000 customers lost power across southwestern England, the Midlands, and Wales as the system moved across the UK and met Arctic air, producing snow in the north and heavy rains in the south. Scotland was hit particularly hard, with over half a meter of snow earlier in the week. More than 250 school closures, disrupted rail services, and temporary restrictions at Birmingham Airport. In France, Meteo France issued advance warnings as wind gusts up to 132 mph were recorded in Normandy, suspending regional train services in the northwest, while high-speed rail and Paris flights saw limited impact. In other story, Myanmar's military junta, which has ruled for the past 5 years, has started a month-long election set to end, with the third phase on January 25 promising to return power to the people. The second phase of voting began Sunday in Khao Mu, Yangon, the former district of Ayung Son Nus Kwi, with polls opening at 6 a.m. AFP reported. The military seized power in 2021 after overturning the last election, claiming fraud in the National League for Democracy's victory, through international observers rejected these claims. Suu Kyi remains imprisoned. The NLD had been dissolved, and critics say the current vote is tightly controlled by the junta, with opposition suppressed and ballots favoring military allies. In the first phase of the election, the pro-military Union Solidarity and Development Party won nearly 90% of lower house seats after losing to the NLD in 2020. And finally, in the news outside the country, with reference to the Philippines, the International Criminal Court prosecution handed over 1,303 pieces of evidence to former President Rodrigo Duterte's defense from July to December 2025. Of these, 906 are incriminating, 389 are evidence in the defense may inspect under Rule 77, and 8 are potentially exonerating evidence. The evidence reportedly includes killings during barangay clearance operations and of high-value targets under the Duterte's presidency. The newly disclosed materials given after July 1 will not be used in the confirmation of charges hearings, which the court has postponed. Duterte remains detained at the Scheveningen prison in the Netherlands while facing charges of murder as a crime against humanity over his war on drugs. And that's all for the news at 12, January 12, 2026. We'll be back tomorrow for more news updates. And thanks to our news writer, LJ Lorejo and Naomi Ruth Hernandez. And on the technical side, Chad Bobis. And our Provincial Information Officer, OIC Marty Gonzalez. And under the supervision of our Governor, Noel E. Rosal, I am Greg Hallare. Thank you for subscribing. Albay in my heart.